Hey guys, popfloyd Place here, back at it again with some more Galaxy, and they did it. They did it. This is the last time I'm looking at this thing right here, this abomination, this shell of its former glory. Although the fighters are cool. I'm goodbye, old friend, but you aren't cutting it anymore. Guys, this is it. Part 2 of the retro event just dropped. And, well, this is gonna hurt so bad. This is build menu, carrier, the retro NYX. After so many people have asked for it for so long, it's here, and I don't know how long because they never said this event would last long, so you guys should hurry up and get it. If you can, because look at this cost. See this? 875,000 credits worth of materials, plus an additional 50,000 credit purchase, so that's like 920,000-ish, 20 to 30. Just I hope you guys uh I hope you guys can get this. This is going to hurt me so bad watching all these resources go. Mainly this. That's 27 levels worth of warehouse about to go down the drain, but here we are. We own it, 1,000 credits left. So let me show you guys. Just take a peek at the gloriousness that is the retro NYX. What is this health? 31,000 health? That's more than the subjugator. That's... Hold on. No, that can't be right. Info prototype X2. This is the third highest health in the game that a player can have, other than the X2 and X1, which are second and first respectively. It's barely lower health than the X2. Holy. Okay, terminal A4. So we're gonna take the teleporter pad. Oh, here it is, and it's red. It's got the cool red, and it's got turrets on it. The original NYX did not have turrets, so I don't know what to say about this, but still, it's... No! No, this is the one without the interior. This is not the original one. Oh no. Sorry, I went silent for a moment. The people are talking in the background, and I had to respond. This is the model without the interior. I mean, there is some interior, but it's not the original interior it used to have. And oh my god, this reminds me of the shadow mapping that was so cool of lighting. And it's got the old Nixesians in the big fighter bay. And it's got, what is this, 510? Uh, there's enough seats for 10 people. And how many fighters is this? This is 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 fighters. So you'll have to... I don't know how you're going to sort out the extra 2 fighters since there's only enough room here for 10 pilots to wait. I guess that's just backup or something, but... Oh my... What? Okay, so we're looking at 50 top speeds, 16,000 shields, and 1,000 or 14,500 hull. Uh, 31,000 health in total. What is this turn speed? This is ludicrous. I think this is actually better than the NYX. Maybe just as good? I am unsure, guys. Here, we're going to have to test this out together. We are going to have to test this out together. It actually has 5 turrets, which I wasn't expecting. So for you guys that want to know, it is what looks like 3? No. 2 retro medium railguns right here, and then 3 retro heavy lasers. So I don't really know how that's going to do. I don't really know what the damage output of that would be. I guess we can go fight a swarmer or something, although aliens are very scary right now, so a swarmer is the only... It's just about the only alien I want to fight with this. But God, our health is... Well, God, it's godlike. This is the highest health thing I own, and I overwarped by a lot right there because I was not paying attention. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, no. This shield is hilarious. It can't even fit the whole NYX in. So let's... Okay, of course. It's a railgun. It's not going to hit. So we're going to have to get really close to this swarmer. We're not fast enough, so let's just warp up on it. Let's see if we can just get up right in there. And everything missed again. Sigh. I think it's... I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say, but whatever. Here. Retro heavy lasers can hit for 180 something, just about 200 damage, I guess. Retro medium railguns, I don't know. Let's get it hold. Man, this thing does not have accuracy at all. Oh, there we go. Hit for 110, so clearly the retro medium railguns are good. I'd say this has decent damage. I wouldn't go around fighting dreads in it, although it looks like it probably could. I don't know. Let's Let's see. Info. Apocalypse. The Apocalypse is just a good dreadnought to just kind of get a rough estimate. So the Apocalypse has 267 turret damage per second and around like 150 or 180, somewhere between there, in the average damage per second. Whereas this has info retro NYX. It has 200 on, so its turret damage per second is pretty low. I'm going to estimate, this is just a guess, okay? This is just an educated guess. Something like 120-ish, maybe 130 average damage per second. The line of sight is somewhat questionable. Had to turn the volume down there for a moment. Oh yeah, the line of sight is really questionable with the placement of this one turret specifically. Like, it's facing a wall. You have to be... I guess I can sort of do broadsides, or you have to be facing down a lot. But that's not an issue since this turns so fast. And it just looks great. It's kind of hard to see in the blackness, but that just makes it look even cooler from all angles. This is truly a gem. Although I am upset that this isn't the original NYX model that had, you know, the full bridge and stuff with all the chairs and desks and terminals, and it had the cafeteria and crew quarters and stuff. Instead, it's just got like this little tiny cramped cut-off section, and you can see that they literally just cut it off. They just took the old model and cut stuff out. They didn't actually make a full new model. They just cut parts of the old model out and stripped the detail away to supposedly prevent lag, although it wouldn't lag nearly as much now, or almost at all, to be honest. And let's see what the retro NYXians are packing, because boy, this thing is packing heat with 12 of them. Alright, let's go into fighter bay. And you're going to have to get front first unless the collisions are off. Nope. Okay. No. 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 These aren't the NYXians. I mean, they are, but they're not the original NYXian model. Okay. So this is not the original. This is not the original NYX, nor is it the original NYXian model. It's the second or third NYX model and the second NYXian model. The NYX went through 3 remodels before its current one. The current one is technically the 4th, although 2 of the remodels were literally just stripping away its interior and detail, so there wasn't really any actual change to the ship. So, aside from stripping away interior. So I'm not entirely sure. I think this is the 3rd model simply because it doesn't have the weird giant reactor core where all the fighter seats are. Because I think it still had that in the 2nd model, but anyways, whatever. That thing is just a beast. Oh, and I didn't even check the cargo hold. Cargo hold. It has 1,000 cargo hold. That's great. 1,000 cargo on this NYX. This is the real NYX. This is just a NYX. Alright, let's see the fighter stats, though. I've been talking too long. 180 speed. I think that's just like the normal NYXians have. 350 shield and 350 hull, which I think is actually less than the normal NYXians have. Info NYXian. So a normal NYXian actually has higher health than this, although the speed is lower. So this is actually faster than the normal NYXians. And the normal NYXians have 6 small phasers and 4 tiny cannons. What does this have? Okay, so that's 4 small phasers and what now? 4 tiny cannons. So, info retro NYXian. Okay, 4 small phasers and 4 tiny cannons. So this is actually like the old NYXian. It's not this isn't like a cool buffed fighter or anything, because the retro NYX itself is definitely stronger than the original NYX is with what its stats are. But these NYXians seem to have the same stats they used to have when they looked like this. So they are actually weaker than the current NYXians, but while there are only 8 NYXians currently in the NYX, there are 12 of these in the retro NYX, this one, the cool one. So that means, I believe since it has its original fighter damage per second, since they have the same weaponry and there's 12, although the original one actually had 11, but then it was shortly changed to 12. But whatever. So I'm going to say this has probably about 100-ish, maybe 140 average DPS, higher than the normal NYX does in terms of its fighters. Mainly because there's more fighters. There's enough fighters it has extra over the normal NYX to counter and balance out the lack of firepower its fighters have. Normal NYXians are stronger, but this has so many NYXians it does more damage anyways. That's it. I could have just summed it up like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's. I guess that's it. Also, you can see there's a whole lot of aliens on the map, and Titans just came out apparently. Or they're just bigger super capitals, even though they say they aren't super caps. But they're not buildable by players. I think it's just a boss thing. It's like just the Kodiak. Oh man, I could get used to this. So there's obviously going to be some serious levels of trolling with the Retro NYX because of its amazing, incredible stats, even though this thing, well, the Retro NYX can probably take on a normal build menu Dreadnought in a one-on-one fight without the use of its fighters, just because of the health gap, even though it will be doing significantly less damage than any Dreadnought on the build menu. But I wouldn't try to use this ship in combat without planning on using the fighters. It's just, the damage isn't high enough, and the risk of using this ship in public where people will target you because you're a high value uh, sort of prize to kill, I don't think it's worth using as a combat ship unless you intend to use fighters. But in that case, you should only use it if you have people that you know will already man the fighters. Like if you have 5 or 6 people, not like 2 or 3. I'm saying like 5 or 6 fighter pilots ready to use the fighters. Then you can pull this out and use it. But you gotta like organize people. Or here's what I did, and I'm going to tell you. So, using the Nimitz, which had 16 fighters, we had like 8 people in a call over Discord, and some other people that were in just, uh, they were just on our team. We used our Nimitz just because we were coordinated over Discord and managed to beat the shit out of a Hyperion, which is a super capital, and 2 dreadnoughts that came with it until the Hyperion and one of the dreadnoughts, I think it was an Apocalypse, were both hulled and fled, and the other dreadnought bailed early. And my Nimitz lived. My Nimitz was able to take on and pose enough of a threat to a super capital that the super capital had to leave before it died because it was actually in serious risk of us killing it. And we also beat up 2 dreadnoughts, and all that with just 1 carrier. The retro NYX is not a Nimitz, but it has a similar amount of fighters, and they actually do similar damage. And the retro NYX, now I'll show you, info Nimitz, you can see right here, the retro NYX has tons more health than the Nimitz. The Nimitz has 18,000, the retro NYX has 31,000, nearly double the health. So if you get a bunch of people over Discord together, coordinated in a voice call, you can do massive amounts of trolling with the Retro NYX, just like any other carrier that has a lot of fighters. But the Retro NYX especially, its fighters aren't very special. They do have subpar stats, but the fact that there's 12 of them makes it just... It's a meme. It's a meme more than anything. But yeah, and we're going to take one last look at the normal NYX and compare the stats. And I'm sorry this video is dragging on so long, like holy crap, I'm just talking up a storm, but... oh, by the way, I forgot to say, and why is my NYX not spawning? There we are. AI fighters are coming out, and it's going to be a Robux Game Pass that's going to be kind of weird, and I might get it just for the sake of showing you guys what it does so you can debate if you want to buy it or how it works, but that's not out yet. But in the case that AI fighters allow you to fully use all of your fighters and just have a fighter swarm without needing any pilot, that would make the Retro NYX god tier, like S plus. Like, this thing would pass the Ghoul NYX. Well, it already has passed the Ghoul NYX, actually, because the Ghoul NYX is just a Retro NYX with weaker stats. That's literally what it is. It's the same ship, just with weaker stats. And they also have the exact same fighters. Like, their fighters are identical. So, it's just the same thing with weaker stats. Anyways, so Ghoul NYX is S tier, but it doesn't really have much of a way of defending itself. Normal NYX is also S tier, and it can somewhat defend itself without fighters, but Retro NYX is S plus, and if you could pay to win it and get AI fighters for it, and have like 12 Retro NYXesians going around, you would be virtually unstoppable. Unless they pulled out a Hyron or Slipstream or Ampharos, in which case you would be dead, because those things will wipe your fighters out faster than you can say, subscribe to popfloyd plays. I don't know. Anyways, this is the normal NYX, which has stood the test of time and still been a good ship, and still is a very, very good ship. And you can see it has very high health, 26,000. 26,000 total, and 6 heavy turrets. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and it's not very maneuverable, but it's still good. And if we release the fighters, you can see these are the modern NYXesians, which got buffed and got bigger. They are tougher. They have higher health and slightly slower speed, but they have better damage. There's only 8 of them on it, though, but still. So, pretty much any version of the NYX. I'm going to be honest, if you could get AI fighters for any version of the NYX, you would immediately be god tier. There's just nothing really to say. I mean, there is no world in which you can get a full fighter force on any version of the NYX, whether it's the normal one or the Ghoul NYX or the Retro NYX. There is no version of that that isn't god tier with all the fighters used. This is kind of weird. The fighter bay has always bugged me in this one. The fighter bay's always been kind of weird and looks like it was strangely mirrored. But we're just going to ignore that little bit. And yes, that is all, folks. This has been a review of the Retro NYX. Is it good for combat? No, if you can't coordinate a bunch of people, which usually is difficult and doesn't happen often. So in most situations, Retro NYX is not viable to use. But if you can coordinate a large number of people, I'm going to say 8 people is optimal. And if you can get all 12 people, if you can get 13 people coordinated, the pilot plus 12 fighter pilots, then you can do serious amounts of damage and trolling with this. If I recall correctly, each Retro NYXesian has... The old NYXesians with the 4 small phasers and 4 tiny cannons used to have around 100 average damage per second. About 100 average damage per second, I believe, between shield and hull. So with 12 of those out, you would be doing 1,200 damage per second with just the fighters, not the NYX's own turrets. That's just a guesstimate. That's just an educated guess. But it is somewhere around that. It's somewhere in that range. So, yeah. Alright, I've spent way too long on this video. I meant to do the Retro Aegis, and then the Retro NYX came out, and I just had to dump my heart and soul into it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. If you like the content and showing off these ships, then leave a like and feel free to subscribe if you're in the mood. And yeah, popfloyd Plays, signing out. See you in the next video.